Hello and welcome to A Better Morning. I'm Heather Klein. We debate the trending topics in sports from a sports betting point of view. Let's welcome today's panel. The fantasy executive, Corey Parson. Host of Her Story in the Making and co-host of Lightning Round, Britt Flynn. Head of content of Fantasy Alarm and award-winning host on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio, Howard Bender. And lead NFL analyst of Fantasy Alarm, Andrew Coop Cooper. Hello, everyone. Hope
Morning,
you're having
Heather.
a better morning. Hello, Britt. Good morning, guys.
Good morning.
What's up, voice in the sky?
Our fearless leader.
Morning. Our fearless leader. Corey, we need to get you a new title for you, so you can be like Howard or
Yeah, thank you.
All right,
I can't help if everybody showers me with accolades. Why is this my fault?
It's not your fault.
Braggadocious. It just other people do this for me. I can't help it. Sorry, Corey. I love you, buddy. You know that.
No doubt, Howard. Let's do it.
Depending on what websites you read, the rumor mill is running strong with where they think DeAndre Hopkins and Dalvin Cook will call home. One of the latest articles has the Patriots landing both. According to DraftKings, the Patriots are the favorite to land Hopkins at plus 100, and the Dolphins have the highest odds for Cook at plus 125. Do you think the draft gods are correct, or is there another team on your radar? Britt, you're up first.
So it kind of makes sense for D-Hop to go to New England when you look at Devontae Parker's new contract and how much of it is actually incentive-based. I think they were honestly clearing up cap space so that they could sign Hopkins. They need more weapons if they're going to compete in a very stacked AFC East, and this move gives them the cap to do it. Now, I will say that Hopkins wants to go to a team that can contend, and the Bills are a close second in the odds at plus 350. They might have to rearrange some cap space to make that happen, but wow, that team would be unstoppable. I think Cook to Miami makes a lot of sense. One, because he went to Florida State. He put out something saying it was good to be back home and be himself or something like that. And the current running back room is made up of older injury-prone backs, so he would provide a big punch on that offense.
So let's start with D-Hop. D-Hop is looking for Odell Beckham money, but Odell Beckham shouldn't have got that money. You see what I'm saying? So that's a problem right there. That was an outlier, not what's going on. So I think D-Hop is going to continue to look because he's not going to get that kind of money in New England. Now, New England will pony up for Dalvin Cook because Dalvin Cook can do more dynamic as a weapon. Despite that chronic shoulder, he can get a lot of stuff done out the backfield. So I think Cook is in a good position right now to kind of still get the deal that he wants. Hopkins, I'm not going to say that he's washed up. I'll say that he's pre-washed, like jeans. You know what I'm saying? So I don't think it's a lot out there for Hopkins, especially if he's looking for that Odell number. But I can see teams like Tennessee getting involved, Buffalo as well. But as far as Cook goes, I think everybody is still going to be in on him if he can come at a decent number.
You sending D-Hop to the Titans is not going to make the rest of this show happy because I'm a Chicago guy. I know Britt loves Treylon Burks. I will say one thing. Two things here. If he goes to New England, it proves two things right off the bat. One, that these guys clearly do actually have the utmost respect for Bill Belichick. We can put to rest this idea that nobody actually wants to play there if two of the most premier guys are going to go there together, which Dalvin Cook said he wants to play with DeAndre Hopkins. The other thing it would do, it would take the hot seat that Mac Jones is on and turn it up to scorching. Right now, that's probably sitting at about an 8. If he doesn't get it done, they're going to probably start looking elsewhere. But if you bring in two decorated veterans like that, that takes that hot seat, cranks it all the way up to 11, and tears the knob off.
Yeah, I don't see them going together anymore. I know what D-Hop said and tried to stir the pot a little bit, but I think one of the most telling things here, and kind of, Corey kind of put it well, that he is Hopkins is a little pre-washed right now. There's really, I find it very interesting that we can't find a landing spot for him. Odell Beckham money, yeah, that's right. That's not coming. I don't know what the Ravens were thinking, giving him the money that they gave him. It just surprises me that not more teams are in on Hopkins. Maybe he alienated teams saying that, he only wants to go and play with an elite quarterback. He said he didn't want to, he hinted that he might want to go back to Cleveland, but Cleveland didn't have any interest in him. So, as far as where he lands, I don't know. I mean, the Patriots seem to be the most interested in him and making that, work. As far as Dalvin Cook goes, I mean, I'd love to see him go to the Jets for a 1-year deal. He could go to the Broncos for a 1-year deal. Sounds like Miami's the landing spot, though.
I'm gonna hop in right quick and Coop. Listen, Matt Jones was working with a special teams coach last year and defensive coordinators. Now that they got a legit OC in there, I think Mac Jones is a strong bounce back season. The problem, listen, I don't want to speculatory. I know a little bit, but Hopkins is like a locker room lawyer. You know what I'm saying? Like, Hopkins is a guy that stirs up a lot of trouble. He stay in the mix. He's always in some gossip in the locker room. There's always some rumors. So he sometimes can be looked at as a guy who is not a good locker room fit. Now, the Patriot way, they'll they'll bring him in there and he'll adapt to their system. But I can see a lot of people shying away from Hopkins because of him being a locker room lawyer.
Now, the reason Mac Jones gets put on the spot is not necessarily that I don't believe in him. I mean, his rookie year, he had the second highest completion percentage all time for a rookie behind only Dak. The reason he goes on the spot is because he's a first-round pick. And after this season, they have to make that decision on his fifth-year option. So, you bring in two older vets that are going to want to win right now. And if it doesn't happen, then they, at the end of the year, have to decide, is this our guy or is this not? And the other thing that I want to say about all this genes talk, man, is that genes are pretty durable. Certain types of players can play for a long time. And when you look at the profiles, it's not the guys that rely on speed, not the guys that rely on size. It's the guys that rely on their route running and contested catches. Larry Fitzgerald was slow. He ran like a 4.5. Anquan Bolden ran like a 4.8 or something like that. And these two guys use their positioning, their body, their route running to play for a very long time. Guys like DeAndre Hopkins, Keenan Allen, if someone can do it, obviously it's hard to predict who can do it, but if someone can do it, they are the right profile, I will say.
But that's why I said pre-wash.
Okay. they're hitting their, as far as genes go, they're hitting their prime, because a big pair of jeans is nice.
A big problem that we're all going to have right now is that I don't see, if Dalvin Cook was going to sign with Miami, they've already presented him with a contract offer. So I don't understand what's going on with that. If you want to play in Miami, sign the damn deal and let's get it going here and let's, jump into camp. I think the biggest problem that we're seeing right now is that, the running back who are sitting there on free agency right now are all just kind of waiting. They're all waiting to hold the teams hostage because nobody pays running backs anymore. Nobody wants to pay running backs anymore. So these guys are going to sit there and they're going to hang out and they're going to wait until there's an injury happening or somebody gets super desperate and is going to end up having to overpay. So, we're going to probably be back here, next week, the week after that, speculating on where these guys are going to go. You know where they're going to go? They're going to land in the spot where they can make the most money because anybody who's sitting there right now who's unsigned doesn't give a crap about the championship. They give a crap about their pocket, and that's just the way it goes. Money talks, bullshit walks, sign with a team that has a legit shot to contend, or just admit that you're just in it for the money, and that's all what it's all about.
Yeah,
I mean, it should be about the money though, because they're putting their bodies on the line. Running backs don't have a long.
You signed up for what? You're a professional football player. You're going to make millions of dollars anyway. You've signed on for this. Know that there's a lousy shelf life for running backs, though.
It doesn't mean they still shouldn't get paid.
All of the other.
Now Howard's mansplaining. Let me right quick. The comment. We would have a Randy Moss-esque season in New England. That is one of the most ridiculous things I've ever heard in my life. Randy Moss might be the second best wide receiver behind Jerry Rice, excuse me. Randy Moss, that's different. DeAndre Hopkins is nowhere near
he scored 23 touchdowns. 23 touchdowns that year. Yeah. And just before we finish this, I just want to say training camp starts. The earliest one starts on the 23rd. Most of them start the 26th. If I'm these guys, I'm not clocking in until right before the show starts.
Hey,
Yeah,
hey, how
2 more weeks vacation.
How would you owe Britt an apology?
I'm sorry if I owe Britt an apology. I wasn't trying to mansplain anything. The bottom line is like we can sit here and speculate over and over and over again, but the bottom line is what team is going to pony up the money for these guys? That's what it comes down to. We know that running backs are underpaid. We've already seen, the tight end market, how a wide receiver 4 on a team is making more money than a tight end 1 on a team. It's a problem in the NFL. We do have the salary cap that we have to adhere to. Certain positions get paid, certain positions don't.
I know is
I just don't really understand. We could say who the favorite is. We could say what team would look great, but until these guys sign on the dotted line, everything that we're saying is pointless.
I'm completely unbiased on where they go.
Okay, thanks for that, Coop. Our NFL divisional previews continue, and today we take a look at the NFC.
Yes, we're moving on. Do you want to? I think Britt wants to yell at me for a second here. Britt, do you want to yell at me for a quick sec here?
No, I don't want to yell at you. I just want to talk about the Cowboys. And I think that the NFC East is our next topic. So, any chance I get to talk about Dallas is great.
Somebody put a
and
gun
Coop
in my
wants
mouth.
to keep talking Pats, but
my gosh.
Hey, Pats.
Our NFL divisional previews.
Hey, this is a family show, Howard.
We take a look at the NFC East. Philly
So,
not only.
I'm just going to go ahead and read the question. But our NFL divisional previews continue. And today we're taking a look at the NFC East, like I hinted at. Philly not only destroyed the division, but made it to the Super Bowl, but they unfortunately lost to the Chiefs. America's team was a close second, and the Giants saw a resurgence with Daniel Jones at the helm. The Commanders finished at 500, even with a suspect quarterback situation. The Eagles are still highly favored at -110. The Cowboys are +174. Then the Giants come in at +750, and the Commanders, if that's still their name, are at +1,000. Which surprise, or do you see a team surpassing the Eagles? And Corey, we'll start with you.
How about them Cowboys? You already know it. It's America's team, time to win the NFC East yet again. Now, don't get me wrong. The Philadelphia Eagles are a very strong team. Obviously, just had that tremendous run last year to the Super Bowl. But they lose both coordinators on the offense and defensive side of the ball. People don't seem to think that's going to be a big deal. I do. I think Dallas made an improvement by letting Kellen Moore walk out the door. I think Mike McCarthy calling his plays. You see more of the running game. I think you see Dak Prescott, Lord have mercy, I hope, try to bounce back this season because I can't take no more interceptions from a guy who pretend to be a franchise quarterback. I didn't like the way my season and Dak Prescott's season ended last year. So I need Son to bounce back. I'm starting to warm back up to number 4, but you don't have much to prove. Much time to prove it. This is a championship roster. No extension if you don't get this team to the NFC Championship, but they'll win the East.
Corey, this offseason, I was so ready to be on your side with this one, with you and Britt, man. I was sitting there in March and April just watching as the Eagles lost C.J. Gardner-Johnson and Javon Hargrave, and T.J. Edwards went to the Bears, and even Miles Sanders left. I was like, this defense is getting crushed. And then in the draft, we let them off the hook. They get Jalen Carter with their first pick, and we're like, okay, there's Javon Hargrave. He's back. And then they wait and get Nolan Smith, a guy they were projected to potentially take instead of Jalen Carter. People were saying, do they take Jalen Carter? Do they take Nolan Smith? They get them both. They rejuvenate that defense right away. And they still bring back A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, Dallas Goedert. They managed to replace running back with a couple of guys like Rashad Penny and DeAndre Swift. I can't bet against the Eagles because it's the same Eagles that won 14 games last year.
Yeah, I can't really deviate too much from the Eagles. I mean, it's an okay bet at -110 to take down the division. I think things are going to tighten up a lot more. I think that the odds are where they are, and I think the odds are accurate. I do think that the Dallas Cowboys have the second best opportunity to win this division. It's going to be very telling to see what happens with these teams who split series with teams in their division and which teams actually succeed when they go out of conference, because they've got to take on the AFC East, which is going to definitely be a much tougher feat when you're going up against the Jets and the Patriots and the Dolphins and the Bills. So I think that Vegas has these numbers right. If I'm going to lay down any action at all, if I'm going to, I'm going to do it on Dallas just at plus 175 to get some value on it. But other than that, I think that the Eagles own this division.
Yeah, Dallas could be sneaky good this year, and I'm not just saying that because I'm a Cowboys fan. They only finished 2 games behind the Eagles, and they didn't have Dak for the first 6 games of the year. Their defense was super solid last year, and they added to that with getting Mozzie Smith, the signing of Stephon Gilmore to help Trayvon Diggs in the secondary, and they actually brought in a bona fide wide receiver too in Brandon Cooks. Philly, on the other hand, got a little worse on offense, in my opinion. I'm really worried about their running back room with DeAndre Swift and Rashad Penny. They're some of the most injury-prone backs in the league, so it's going to be closer than people think. The Giants have huge question marks in their wide receiver room. Their defense still needs help. And the Commanders with Sam Howell and new ownership, I am completely out on. So I'm taking the boys at plus odds here.
Let me holler at Coop right quick with this whole thing about this Eagles draft right here. First of all, DeAndre Carter has Jadeveon Clowney's motor. You know what I'm saying? So he might play every now and then, or when he wants to, you'll see his best. Nolan Smith was there for a reason because Son barely plays. He don't be in the game. Those players were there for a reason. Now, as far as the Pollard talk, he had the same injury as Patrick Mahomes last year. He'll be back. He'll be fine. He's more of a weapon. And then behind Dallas O-line, anybody can run the ball. But here's the thing. The Dallas Cowboys are going to have the best defense in the NFL this year, and Micah Parsons will be a less than 5-1 MVP candidate at some point this season. Book it.
Right now, MVP odds, I was looking at him yesterday, plus 15,000 if you want to bet those on Parsons. If you want to bet him Defensive Player of the Year, plus 650. So if you believe that, there's money to be made out there, brother. And I'll also point out in favor of the Cowboys, and this is something Howard said yesterday. If you guys didn't check out the Quick Out podcast, man, what Stephon Gilmore really does is now instead of putting Trayvon Diggs on the top corner and having him get toasted over the top all the time, you put Gilmore on that guy, right? And now Diggs can go on the other side and do what he does best and just say, hey, run around like crazy, try and get your hands on the football because we'll have a safety over the top. I mean, I will admit the defense is looking pretty nice right now with the setup they got going on there.
And the thing about Diggs too, he can also play slot corner. He's not just a boundary corner. And so you can match him up against anybody. So it's going to be a lot easier to pick and choose and move some pieces around so that you get the best coverage on that defense. And then you've got pressure on the quarterback. They're going to be so good.
Jalen Hurts, though.
He's all right.
Do the gritty, Jalen Hurts. What's up, Howard? You good? You got something to say?
I already
got
said his
nothing to
piece
say
for
about
him.
this. I said my piece about the division. Where am I going to, lay my money? I told you right there.
And listen, I like Sam Howell too. You know what I'm saying? I think Sam Howell is going to be better than people think. I think they got to get Chase Young off that team. You know what I'm saying? He's going to end up being, at least a bust in his DC era. But I think the Commanders, listen, I think the NFC East is going to be competitive. Giants, Commanders will be in playoff contention this year.
All right, guys, let's go to the next topic. As we begin to draft in fantasy football, where do you draft quarterbacks? In recent years, we have seen top-tier signal callers picked off in the early rounds and then creates a frenzy of team managers drafting in what is considered too early. Coop, where do you tend to draft your QB1?
Yeah, quarterback is starting to turn into the new running back where people try and have this strategy in advance. Oh, I'm going 0 RB no matter what. Or, I'm going robust RB. It's the dumbest thing. It's all about value every single time. If everybody in your league is taking quarterbacks in the second and third round, good. Let them have them. If your league is not drafting them and Josh Allen falls to the fourth round, I'll take him. If guys in my league, 3 or 4 guys, follow JJ Zachariason on Twitter and they're having a Mexican standoff in picks 11, 12, and 13 about quarterbacks and no one's taking one, I'll take 2. It's my job to win this league. And part of that is making sure that you don't. So whatever people are doing, letting value fall, I'll take it. I don't care. So quarterback strategy, my strategy is to get a good one at good value. That's it.
Yeah, I think value is definitely the key thing here, and just kind of seeing what's happening in your draft. I think one of the two of the biggest problems that we're having right now in fantasy drafts is, number one, the majority of drafts that are going on right now are best ball drafts. We're leaning into Scott Fishbowl, which is super flex, and everybody is completely hell bent on stacking. So what they're doing right now is that they're forcing stacks, and they're taking their quarterbacks earlier and earlier, pushing their ADP up because they want to make sure that they get that. Listen, is Joe Burrow a late second, early third round QB? No, he shouldn't be going that high. But the person in your draft who takes Jamar Chase wants to stack him up with Joe Burrow. And so that's one of the things that we're dealing with. We're also dealing with the fact that everybody wants a mobile QB. Got to have a mobile QB. And that's pushing the ADP up as well. But I'm sure Britt will give you some numbers that is gonna be a little eye popping for everybody.
Yeah, I don't know if I have the numbers this early this morning, but I really don't like drafting too early unless it's best ball, where it does give you that advantage between the top even 5. There's a 113-point difference in finishes last year. But I also don't want to wait until the run has happened. There's a ton of value to be had with guys kind of in the middle of the pack, like Trevor Lawrence and Justin Herbert in the 5th. So if I can get one of those guys, that's where I'm going. I will say, if you want to play chicken at the position, there are a lot of quarterbacks who have fallen way down and ended last season as QB1. So you can possibly get a guy like Jared Goff, Kirk Cousins, Geno Smith, somebody like that. But I like to have that quarterback position locked up. And if you go that way, I would recommend having 2 quarterbacks on your roster. And I don't like wasting that bench spot.
If you're a fantasy football historian like myself, what you realize is that in last year's draft season, you saw that it was starting to change. Now, leagues that we play in for the most part is leagues where everybody's want to play quarterback chicken. People start drafting their quarterback in the 7th round. That's not happening now. And you know what? I agree with it. Listen, you look back at the NFC guys that won overall championships last year, Patrick Mahomes was on their team for the most part, or Joe Burrow. I think this is the year to go back up early and get your quarterbacks. Go for the guys like Mahomes. Go for Joe Burrows. Go for the top quarterbacks in the league, Jalen Hurts, Justin Fields, players like that. So I'm not going past round 5. Like, I don't want to deal with Trevor Lawrence and Justin Herbert. Give me Lamar Jackson and up. So the fantasy exec is taking his quarterbacks early this year. So that means it's a good idea for everybody who's getting ready for fantasy draft season to follow the fantasy executive and take their quarterback early as well, because that's how you end up in the winner's circle. When you sit down there and you wait for Jordan Love and Anthony Richardson, high upside guys, I get it. I'm a Love guy. I'm a Richardson guy, but I'm a Patrick Mahomes guy first, because that's how you end up in the winner's circle.
Well, I don't think anybody's arguing making, Jordan Love their QB1. I don't think that anybody is. We're talking about like these mid-tier guys who can be the guy. I think that you're just taking it a little too extreme by doing that, because nobody wants Jordan Love as their QB1.
I like Jordan Love though.
There's a number of fantasy historians that might remember that what happened. I know you yourself being the most prominent, Corey, but there are a few others out there who might remember that, historically speaking, when these QBs have these big years, the next year everybody reaches for them, and it hasn't panned out great. 2013, Peyton Manning throws 55 touchdown passes. Everyone's drafting him in the first round. Right? Patrick Mahomes, 50 touchdown passes. Next year comes back, and Cam Newton, runs for 30, throws 36, runs for 10. Same thing. Like, everyone's chasing last year's points. What happened last year? A lot of times you go back and look through at some of these years, who leads the league in touchdowns. Russell Wilson led with like 34. Lamar Jackson led with 36. It's not every year that you have guys throwing 40, 50 touchdowns. It's, it bounces around. So some of these people, it could just be a year where everyone's reaching for quarterbacks, and everyone that did that gets smoked.
All right, we're up to our last topic. Mike Trout had surgery yesterday to repair a broken hamate bone in his wrist, but now it looks like he's expected to miss up to 8 weeks. Albeit small, Shohei Ohtani left the game yesterday with a blister, or I guess July 4th. The Angels are 4 games out of the wild card spot and have lost 10 of their last 15 games. With the slump they are in and Trout on an extended absence, where do you see them at the end of the regular season? Howard, you are up first.
I see them standing on the outside looking in. This Angels team is done right now. They're cooked. That's it. They're finished. They're plus 400 to make it to the playoffs. And that's just not even going to happen. Their odds to win the AL West, what are they down at now? Yeah, plus 1,700. I think the real question isn't where are the Angels going to be? It's going to be where's Shohei Ohtani going to be, because this team is completely out of it right now. You have no reason to pitch to Shohei Ohtani when you don't have anybody backing him up in the lineup. The question is which team is going to give us the biggest payoff package in order to trade Ohtani. Well, do I still have time?
Yeah.
Good for me. I thought I saw a blink in the corner of my eye, but whatever. It's all you, Britt.
No, I'll take it. They were in trouble before. They had kind of experienced a skid, but now the situation is dire. We didn't even mention Anthony Rendon and how long he'll be out after fouling a ball off his leg and leaving the game on crutches. When he was asked if he was going to go on the IL, he said, "It doesn't look good." Ohtani has around another week before he has to pitch, so that's somewhat good news, but depending on how deep that blister is, it could take a month to heal. Their next two games are going to be tough against the Dodgers with Griffin Canning and Tyler Anderson pitching. And sure, the All-Star break helps for the overall health of the team, but even when Trout comes back, historically, the power doesn't return for a while with that type of injury. So I agree with Howard. I don't see them making it to the postseason.
Not only am I a fantasy football historian, world-renowned drafter, class of this program, I also moonlight as a doctor. And Britt nailed it. That hamate bone injury, when you come back from that injury, it kind of zaps your power. You know what I'm saying? So, Mike, here's the bottom line. Let's not talk about the Angels no more. If the Ohtani dude is not striking out 10 and hitting 3 home runs in the game, can we forget about the Angels? Every year, I'm sick of it already. Got the best players in the sport and can't do nothing. All they do is get hurt. Go ahead, Coop. You can have my time.
Yeah, your doctor, historian. What are you, Brendan Fraser from The Mummy? Like, you're turning into a mythical creature on the show right in front of our eyes, Corey.
Renaissance man.
Now, I'll talk to you guys about, everyone wants to talk about the handmade injury. Let's talk about this blister. And Heather even said a little blister. These pitcher blisters, these are not your run-of-the-mill blisters. This is not the blister that you get from the batting cages. These things, they end up on the side of your nail. That's why some people are saying nail, some people are saying blister. Ask guy like Rich Hill about these blisters. Aaron Sanchez posted a picture of one of his a couple years ago. It's disgusting. It gets in right next to the nail, and sometimes you lose the fingernail. These blisters, man, you got to shut these guys down and let that heal, or else it doesn't get better. And these guys end up actually going on like the IL for this. It's gross. I've seen it. It's disgusting.
I've seen
it's one of those injuries you don't think is a big deal. You're right. It's like turf toe. You're like, oh, it's turf toe. It's fine.
It sounds,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it sounds like, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You Deion Sanders. So it's tough.
They got to give it a meaner name than blister or turf toe. Like, like a destroyed fingernail. That sounds terrible. That's what it looks like. That's what this is he's dealing with, right?
Yes, that is what he's dealing with. But again, like Corey said, it's done. We're done with the Angels. Where is Ohtani going to land? I want to see him go to either Cincinnati, Baltimore, or the Yankees. Just anywhere but the Mets. Oh, screw the Dodgers.
Get that
Hey,
out
the
of
dude
here.
in Cincinnati last night, he said, hey, you check my bat, Poppy? You want to check my bat? Check my bat, Poppy. I hit 500-foot bomb. I like that. That's a little bit of swag right there. I'm digging that.
All right, guys. That was today's edition of A Better Morning. Thank you to Corey, Howard, Britt, and Coop. Make sure you check out the debut of Real-Time Fantasy Sports Show with Jeff Poor and Logan Glazer at noon Eastern. We wish everyone a better